one of the handheld whisks, and in particular we're going to look at the one at the top left of the sheet. So, excuse me, the first thing we need to do is create a new document. So here's my new document. I'm going to call this handheld whisk for video demonstration. Obviously for you, you need to give that perhaps your name or something like that, then it makes more sense. So let's click OK, and that will give me my blank sheet. Okay, my blank workspace. So now what I need to do is look at creating a new sketch on the front plane, like so. And what we want to do is insert our image. And we want the image of our rendered handheld whisks. So I'm going to need to import that. And I'm going to need to find the location of my work. So let me just navigate on mine to my work, which is actually upside down. Okay, one moment. Okay, so I have my folder here. Okay, sorry, it just took a moment to get that. So I'm uploading my image. Here it is. So now what I want to do is sketch it. Before I sketch it, I'm just going to close that window. And so let's hold down my left mouse button and drag my image. And what I'm going to try and do is just happy that that's roughly in the middle of my page. Okay, if I want to, I can just move it by grabbing on the blue dotted line. So let's move it about there. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to have an idea of how big this line is. Okay, so we need to have that measurement, and bearing in mind that of course we're thinking about this being something which is handheld in total size. So the suggestion for your measurement would be about 230 millimeters, and what we're going to do is we're going to, even though that this is curved, we're going to draw a straight line as our measurement line. Okay, so there's our straight vertical line. So I'm going to dimension, there's my dimension tool, drag my line and dimension, and now I need to change this. So my recommendation is to go about 230, 240, 235, that's totally up to you. Okay, so change it to 230. Excuse me. Now, by me doing that, one of the things that's happened is it's moved my whole sheet off center. So I'm going to press escape, I'm going to hold down the left mouse button, and I'm going to just try and move it again back to being approximately in the middle of my sheet. Then I'm happy. I'm going to right click and rename this sheet scanned sheet. Okay, just so I know that it's there. So now we've set up ready for rendering. So what we're going to do firstly is do a new sketch on the front plane. And on this sketch, we're going to just do some guidelines for future sketches. So I'm going to draw a series of straight lines. We're actually going to use kind of lines that are already in our rendering. So I'm going to draw a straight line here. Okay, and that straight line is going to represent, press escape, the bottom of my work. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm just going to get that so it's approximately on the bottom of my sketch. Then I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to now have a look at another one. I'm going to use this line here, which was actually about my midpoint line of my work. So I'm going to sketch and go across, like so. And then I'm going to press escape again. Excuse me. And then finally, we'll have one up here at the top. Again, trying to get roughly the angles. Okay, I'm not worried about the length of the line, just trying to get approximately lines. Now you can see here on this one, it's closer to this line than it is on this one, so I'm just going to grab my line and manipulate it a little bit more so it looks about the right kind of angle. Okay, so I've got 3 lines there. I'm going to accept my work, zoom out, And so now what you can see is I've got my whole image, I've got my 3 original planes here, and I've got my 3 lines. What we're going to do is use those lines to create new planes. So I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to click on my plane tool here, and I'm going to make sure, first of all, that this says offset. Okay, so there are a number of options here. We just want offset, which is the standard one. And we're going to click on the plane. Okay, so it's now saying, do we want an offset distance of 25? We're going to change that to be 0, like so, and we're going to accept. Okay, now, for some reason, that has failed. So I'm going to delete mine again, and I'm going to try that a second time, and try and understand why this has not worked. I've picked my entity of my sketch. Let's look at it like that. So what I'm actually after is to create a new horizontal plane. So if offset is not working, okay, then usually that's because it needs a reference point. So I'm going to cancel my offset edge. I'm going to pick this surface. So it's now giving me my offset, but I'm also going to pick this surface as well. I'm going to change this to be a plane point. It still doesn't